convinced that the thing on this table isn't human.
Its cries are human.
Do you know what it is, what I began with?
No.
An animal. Well, we may as well discuss this frankly, now that you know the facts. I wanted to prove how completely she was a woman.
I'm not beaten. Get everything ready.
For what?
This time I'll burn out all the animal in her. I'll make her completely human.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Wednesday Night Scream Stream mini-sode. I'm your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
How we doing tonight, Evan?
We are good. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I hope it was a happy, fulfilling Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had something to... Yeah, I mean, plenty of turkey or pumpkin pie or whatever your favorite dish is at the Thanksgiving table. I hope you filled up on it. I hope you filled up on a pretty hefty serving of some classic horror as well. We were running some public domain horror movies here on Thanksgiving Day. Really appreciate everybody tuning in for that. That was a lot of fun and didn't get...
We hope you've left room for dessert.
Yeah, I mean...
AKA public domain TV.
Yeah, this is... it's our weekly dessert. It's our weekly, like, sweet allowance, you know? It's, you know, because we have the big, like...
Just a little treat.
Right.
Just for you.
Just for you. Because on Friday, you know, we have the big feast. But, you know, these Wednesday nights, these mini-sodes, these are for, you know, this is if you're really looking for a little treat to kind of get through the middle of your week before we get to the big feast. Then we get this little sampling of some, in this case of what we've been watching in our mini-sodes this season, a classic cliffhanger serial from tiny little Poverty Row studio called Mascot, and the title is The Whispering Shadow. And we've seen
Shadow.
Sorry, yeah, maybe I should start whispering it from now on. Maybe that would be more appropriate. The Whispering Shadow. I wish the characters would do, because as we've already established, if you've been keeping track of The Whispering Shadow with us so far, all the characters like to exclaim when they say the Whispering Shadow. The Whispering Shadow. They always put some kind of inflections on it, or I mean, really any name. I mean, again, is it Robert Raymond? I mean, we got all the.
They put so much pepper on it.
They do. They're having a lot of fun with it, as you can tell. I mean, they have no problem getting really hammy with it. I mean, but this has been a nice.
All the missing is just the spotlight.
Right. I mean, you know, you get your soliloquies, you get your mustache twirling bad guys. Not quite twirling the mustache, but that one guy's pretty close. He's the one who says it, like, you know, the whispering shadow. And you're like, all right, guy, chill out a little bit. Let's pull back the reins just
Gotta
a
look a
little bit.
little less suspicious, okay?
Right. Well, you know, again, this is a mystery serial, so you have to have your suspects. Just who is the Whispering Shadow? It couldn't be top billed Bela Lugosi, could it?
Could it?
So far, we haven't had too much evidence to confirm or deny just who the Whispering Shadow may be. We've been given a lot of clues.
Yeah, I will say, everyone is still kind of a suspect, just for a different reason. We've been off for a couple of weeks, so I actually went back and rewatched just to get a little refresher. And
okay,
the
very nice.
so we don't really know who the Whispering Shadow is, but we do know that everybody is trying to get these jewels.
Yes, so
The
that's
question
our.
is who's working with or for whom.
Okay, I'm glad you went back and did a rewatch. Look at you, dedicated over here.
Doing my homework.
That's good. I mean, I'm
gonna get to the bottom of this.
I was just gonna wait for the clip shows, but yeah, I like you're digging deep. That's what we need to really be doing, a deep dive here. So I'm glad that you're taking full advantage of the opportunity, unlike me, my lazy ass self. No, I do think that's. I think that's great.
If I'm being honest, it's mostly because I have trouble telling these old-timey people apart, and so I needed to go rewatch it to make sure I know who's who.
I was definitely getting confused in the last chapter we watched.
I was losing track of
who is this suspect? Who is that? What does he do again? What's his job? Tables.
Yeah, yeah, tables. Radio.
His job is radio. Wax museum. Bela Lugosi's job is wax museum. That's all I can tell you. No, there's been some pretty interesting stuff in this serial so far. But it has been. I mean, we were only off last week, but every time we're off, even for a week, it feels like an eternity, doesn't it?
It does.
It feels like I'm doing it for the first time all over again. It's like, oh my god, do I even remember everything I need to do?
And my Wednesdays always feel so empty when we're off. What am I supposed to do?
I know. It's
watch old TV.
Yeah, I mean, I've been left on the edge of my seat with the last episode. Now you got to tell me I got to sit there for 2 weeks? What the hell? So yeah, we're finally gonna get, settled back into that chair when we see how this last cliffhanger was resolved. I believe that last time the title of that chapter was The Collapsing Room. And so of course in our cliffhanger, what did we get? A collapsing room.
We got a collapsing room. For some reason, the Wax Museum just also has the trash compactor from Star Wars.
Right. Well, it's Bela Lugosi. Whether his character is good or not, he's always going to have some kind of torture devices in his house. Whether that's out of malicious intent,
his house.
It's probably just for show, right? If he's a good guy, it's just for show. He's not intending to do anybody harm. It's just a harmless little, party trick, and when you want to entertain the guests.
It's for when you get done with your wax figure and you don't want to just throw it out because that's such a waste of wax. So you gotta kind of mush it back together. So you put it in the collapsing room.
Right. I mean, that sounds very practical. I could see that. I mean, obviously.
As any wax museum expert would know, every wax museum has a collapsing room.
Obviously.
To mash the wax back together.
Right. I mean, I obviously, Madame Tussauds pioneered the technique. And so that's why you see it in all these old timey movies, because it's just anybody that knows wax works knows the process. So you're going to get very true to life stuff in these old serials. I mean, we've seen them running all over Los Angeles, all around buildings, and stuntmen leaping around everywhere and
flying off of cliffs.
Oh my god, it's crazy. And I did some more research about the main stunt person and coordinator for this, which I'll do more of I'll talk about in a later episode, because the trailers that we got tonight are Lugosi trailers, where we had the trailer for Island of Lost Souls coming in, and we'll have another 1932 Lugosi trailer later. But suffice to say, the guys that did the stunts in this, I mean, it's just some wild stunt work, and there's a reason why it's like so wild. These were pioneers, or at least the guy in charge was a pioneer. So little tease for future episodes, especially when it starts to get to the clip shows and you're just waiting for something to happen. I'll have some interesting information. We're
His
about
name was Evil Knievel.
and this is how Evil Knievel got his start. Little did you know he worked with Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi was the one that taught him how to jump over his first school bus. He wouldn't have learned it if it hadn't been for
the
Lugosi.
cape.
Right. Well, obviously. Duh. Anybody that's rocked cape in the last 100 years hold on, let me do my math right. Lugosi started playing Dracula in 27. Say the movie kicked it off. For the past
We'll round up
90 years, let's just say that, then you owe Lugosi a debt of gratitude. That cape, you didn't come up with that idea. You were inspired. We all know.
The trendsetter.
Really is. Yes, he is. So we'll see what dastardly. I mean, he's been kind of like in the mix every time some crazy stuff is going on. But it's
something.
But he's never like to blame, or he's just always, at least as we've seen so far, he just moves on. Nobody's like, I guess they're looking for him, but he's just so slippery.
They introduce him and he's immediately made suspicious. Like the protagonist, Jack Foster, goes to the wax museum and Lugosi immediately clubs him over the head.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Really not helping your case here, bud.
No, I mean, again, when you got to have everybody look suspicious, but you got Lugosi in the cast, it's like, all right, well, we know who's got to be doing the heavy lifting here. Obviously, it's got to be Lugosi. He doesn't have to answer for it. We'll leave the talking to other people. We'll just let Lugosi run around and get into mischief. But we got we'll see how tonight's episode stacks up. And the title of tonight's episode is, Evan, you have it? I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
The All-Seeing Eye.
That's right, the All-Seeing Eye, which, interestingly enough, I was just about to say, well, this should tell us what our cliffhanger is, but I don't think, this might more describe something in the episode, because I don't know how you would cliffhang an All-Seeing Eye.
I'm not sure. Yeah, they get attacked by the Illuminati at the end of the episode.
Yeah, which, if you didn't know, like the Illuminati eye is actually real. That's what their job is, to take care of this giant disembodied eye that looks like. So we'll see it, because that's what the title of this episode's obviously.
But he was uncredited. He didn't get credit for the role.
Right. Well, they couldn't say Illuminati back in this time in 1932. It was frowned upon. But we all know what they're implying. So we'll see this All-Seeing Eye uncredited. Anything else before we get into it tonight, Evan?
I think I'm ready.
Okie dokie. Well, on that note, if you have it queued up.
I do.
All right, then we are going to get into The Whispering Shadow, Chapter 3, The All-Seeing Eye, right now. Have my volume super loud. Sorry. Here we go.
Colbert Clark.
Colbert.
Did you hear that Colbert's appendix, Colbert's appendix burst this week?
I did, yeah. I saw it because I saw a really disingenuous headline that said that the Tonight or whatever show he hosts was canceled because his appendix burst. And I was like, okay, well, like his show that night was canceled, but they didn't cancel the Late Show. But that's what it made it sound
Right,
like.
yeah,
What the hell?
The fishing for clicks is that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got the open time slot. They should put us on.
Seriously? Oh my god. We're live. We're doing it live.
We just need the guy who plays piano off to the side.
Yep, they're calling him sinister. They're calling him out right away. Whose brother was murdered by the shadow? Oh man, right into picking it right up.
So, Jack and Detective Robert Raymond are the only people who aren't after the jewels.
Okay.
It's those two versus everybody else at this point.
Jack just wants justice for his brother, okay? We all...
Yeah, he's...
Isn't there any way to stop them? No! They come together! So that's the kind of a monster the Whispering Shadow is. He'd even kill you, his own daughter, in order to do away with me.
My father is the Whispering Shadow. You must believe me. Why should I lie?
He looks creepy, but he's innocent, I swear.
But I know those Shadow's men out there. Come to kill my brother.
I tell you, my father.
That mask just like creeping up on the
just
closet. Yeah, you ain't fighting against that fucking system, man. God.
You bullets broke the switch. The panel won't open.
Ah! Oh shit! Somebody could have gotten a splinter in the eye, man. I don't like to see balsa wood snapping that close to somebody's unprotected face. Okay.
I just love it when you see furniture get like smashed up on some kind of compressor like that.
We just lost Henry Kissinger. Not necessarily R.I.P. because he's a terrible guy, but just popped up on my computer. This is what Scream Stream also does. We also breaking news.
You're first.
That's the benefit of being a live show. When something happened live, I can just Kissinger is dead.
Correspondent, also the host, Garrett.
Yeah, yeah. I am the Walter Cronkite of my generation. Okay. Oh, Lugosi he's like, oh, my poor daughter. He's sad.
Juice in, Bud? I'm afraid you're too late. Slade got away. Slade? You mean he escaped convict? Are you sure? Yes, I recognize him by his picture in the papers.
How long has he been gone?
Just a minute before you came. He can't be far away, officer. Come on, Bill.
Is he wearing a cape? Yeah. Well, it's not like a full cape, right? That looks like one of those.
The house cape.
Meddling fools. Who could have sent them here?
Then it wasn't you.
Me bring the police here. What did you do with the jewels?
I didn't get them.
But Slade thought you had them, or he wouldn't have followed you here.
I didn't have time to open the package before Slade snatched it from me.
Then somebody took them out of the package before you got it. Who could have done it? It could only have been one man. He was near the roof when the package fell from the plane.
Who was it, Father?
One of the officials of the storage company. His name escapes me. Oh, yes. Now I remember. It is...
What? What the hell? I don't like that. Come on.
Any word from the Shadow? Yes, we're to wait here. He'll give his orders at 11 o'clock.
Yes, we're to wait here.
But Mr. Raymond, how could you, the greatest detective in the country, let the Shadow attack this warehouse and get away with it without the slightest clue?
What makes you think I haven't a clue, Bradley? I know
I'm such
the
a good
Shadow's
detective.
after.
I let the criminals come in.
The most priceless collection of jewels in the world. The imperial jewels of the Tsar.
You mean they've been stored here in the warehouse without my knowledge?
Yes. The cleverest scheme ever devised by a thief to hide his loot.
Loot.
Yes. It's for you.
Think. Hello?
Foster talking, Mr. Raymond. I
World
trailed the
famous
Shadow's men and found their
detective
hideout.
Robert Raymond.
Right, I'll meet you there.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that Foster on the wire?
Yes. He believes he's found the Shadow's hiding place.
Well,
Huh,
aren't you going to call the police?
No, will you do that for me, please? Tell him I'll meet him at the first turnoff beyond the country club.
Just beyond the country club. I want to go do a quick I don't know golf terms, man.
A quick 9.
A quick 9. See, that's what I wanted to say, but I was like, I don't think that's right.
That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right at all, but I don't know golf.
Clark's still working on this
Yeah, what the hell is that thing?
weird little puzzle.
He's on the roof. Look next to the broken aerial.
It's like one of those things you buy in like a gift shop,
But,
like a
there's
Cracker
nothing you can do
Barrel or
here.
something.
Until the aerial's repaired.
Probably.
All right.
It's like a bunch of nails twisted together.
Sounds like a Cracker Barrel thing. Ooh.
Lights are off.
Yeah, I don't know who's just gonna so willingly walk into it. Oh, okay, here we go. Finally. Oh, got it! Quick, look like we're doing some work. Look busy. Look busy.
Oh, the boss is here.
You're down. Act quickly.
Act quickly. Let's take a break right there. That's the perfect spot. I'm at 9:04.
Okay.
9:04. So that was the first half of the All-Seeing Eye. What do we think so far, Evan?
Well, if we're trying to keep score here, we don't know where or who has the jewels at the moment.
No,
It's
they're
really our MacGuffin for the serial.
it 100% is the MacGuffin. Cause yeah, I mean, I lost track of them by the first episode. As far as I'm concerned, they're in transit. I don't know what We need to get the United Parcel Service up here and sort this mess out. Figure out just where these things are.
You got to call the what is it? The Empire Trucking Company.
That's right. Cool name for a company. I mean,
It is. I also, if you remember the big building they have, they keep calling it a warehouse. I mean, maybe they have like a warehouse on the lower level, but
it was like a
It's
huge
very-
building.
it's like a very nice looking building.
Yeah. I mean, they could have a warehouse like on the lowest level or in the basement, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's like the office, you have your warehouse kind of out off to the
Yeah,
side, and then,
your office people and-
your office people are upstairs, this probably works like that. I mean, again, why does this shipping company have like the whole radio thing anyway? It's just because their
Yeah, that's
building
what
is
I was
tall, they can put a
wondering.
tower on it.
Yeah, like they have a guy whose like dedicated job is doing experiments
Oh,
with a radio.
well, so the trucks, there's like they're radioing back and forth with their like,
Yeah, I mean they're using it for like talking with their drivers, but
yeah, but why do they need an inventor doing a whole?
yeah, why do they need like like a radio mad scientist?
Yeah, why do they need a 5 cent Tesla knockoff guy hanging out in there? Like, like all right, you could have I mean, I don't know. You can't pick these serials apart too much, because it's just gonna very delicate threads. You pick too much, the whole thing's gonna fall apart. We could sit here talking about how much this doesn't make sense all night.
Wait a second, those weren't real wax dolls?
I know that's not wax. Which by the way, so it all happened very fast. Who got them out of that collapsing room? Who pulled the switch? Like, I saw a bunch of dudes with fedoras rush in, but I know none of them was Robert Raymond. So like, what? It wasn't Lugosi, I don't think. But that just all happened
Yeah, I don't
very
know.
quickly, didn't it?
We're gonna have to wait for the clip show.
Yeah, I'm sure the clip show will give us a better idea what went down, because a little too fast for me to keep track of. And that's the thing. You can't say this isn't fast paced. It's so fast paced that half the time I couldn't even tell you what just happened, because
We're
in
missing details left and right.
20 seconds it's like, oh, and now they're free. They're no longer about to be killed by this room. I just saw a bunch of guys with fedoras, but I don't know who these guys are, and it's the same
Yeah, when I was
problem.
doing my rewatch, when they introduced Jasper Slade, the escaped convict, within the span of like a minute, they introduce this character, like explain his motivations, and he has escaped jail. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard his name and I guess seen him now in tonight's episode, and it took me a while to put together who that was. I don't think it was honestly until you said he's the escaped convict that I remember that there's all this thing about an escaped convict. I'm like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't make heads or tails. You're right. It's with all these, it's the same problem we had with Phantom Creeps, just all these fedora-headed men running around trying to get something from somebody else, trying to get this MacGuffin. I mean, it's, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I hope we get some kind of a lead on the diamonds in the second half of this. But, it's going to be just a bunch more running around, and then I don't know, whatever this all-seeing eye is going to be. I'm excited. We will see.
That's our mystery for tonight.
Each episode is the beauty of a mystery serial, that even though the whole overall thing is a mystery, each episode in and of itself contains a mystery. So it makes it a lot of fun. But I mean, in Lugosi's been, he's had some work to do in tonight's episode, so that's been nice to see. Anytime we get Lugosi on deck, you can't be too upset about it. So, of course, we'll, I was like trying to, I don't really have like one set theme for my trailers for our breaks this season. And so it's like, today I was like, oh, well, what do I do? It's like, well, the past 2 weeks have been serial trailers, mostly Lugosi serial trailers, although we did show the trailer for Undersea Kingdom, which was the last serial that we watched. But tonight I was like, all right, well, we'll do some Lugosi trailers, because Again, Lugosi, this is Lugosi in his heyday, which we don't get to see a lot on this show. We either get mid-career Lugosi or in-career Lugosi. And sometimes we get fake Lugosi, as we saw earlier this season when we watched Plan 9 from Outer Space. This serial came out in 1933, and Lugosi had made Dracula 2 years before this. So again, when I say this is his heyday, I'm not exaggerating. And so leading into this, I think he had done Island of Lost Souls, which we saw the trailer for coming in, to tonight's episode from our pre-roll, which if you haven't seen Island of Lost Souls, I just watched it for the first time really like beginning to end last month during October. And that movie holds up. It is striking how unsettling it is. And the makeup, like they did another adaptation of, it's an adaptation of the H.G. Wells story, The Island of Dr. Moreau. And so they did another adaptation in the 70s, and the makeup in the 30s version looks almost the same, if not better, than the makeup that you get in the 70s version, which the 70s version has Burt Lancaster. Okay. Like it's an AIP movie, but it was a pretty bigger budget movie. And the makeup in the 32 version, and Lugosi's makeup in particular, is pretty like striking. He's just got this hair all over his face, and his eye, I don't think he's wearing contact lenses, but his eyes look wild, which again, for playing a half man, half animal, that's the perfect look, wild man eyes. The other big, I think he had a few big movies in 32, but the other big one, which we'll be seeing the trailer for tonight, is, of course, one of his greatest independent films, which we watched in our very first season finale of the Scream Stream, White Zombie, all the way back in season 1. And so, if you haven't seen White Zombie, oh my God, the movie is, there's some creaky parts, don't get me wrong, and full disclaimer, the blackface is the, worst thing about the movie that doesn't hold up. But Lugosi is, his performance, it's one of the iconic Lugosi performances, and we're lucky that it's public domain. And then we got to watch it. Although I don't think I can show it on YouTube live without getting claim on it. I've been keeping a list now. Trouble. I have to keep a list of what public domain movies they will not allow me to show live and which ones are okay. Because there's some that people will put a claim on, even though it's public domain, you should leave it alone. What are you going to do? So even though we won't be able to watch White Zombie again, you can go check out our White Zombie episode over on our YouTube page at Scream Stream Live. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you should definitely subscribe. So we're going to see this trailer for White Zombie. And then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting conclusion of The Whispering Shadow, The All-Seeing Eye. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Haiti, land of the voodoo, comes the most infamous cult of all. Bela Lugosi as Murder Legendre.
I see death.
Master of the undead damned. The sinister power behind the White Zombie.
Zombies? Yes, they are my servants.
This soul killer takes men from their graves to be his slaves. his instruments of terror, and now this fiend plots to possess a woman.
Only a pin boy, a silver one, in a glass of wine, you know. Or perhaps a flower. Keep it, monsieur. Keep it. You may change your mind.
Not dead? Are you mad? I saw her die. The doctor signed the certificate. I saw them bury her.
Captive in the borderland between life and death. Her brain drained of the life spark. The white zombie obeys the unholy commands of her demon master. As mindless creatures carry out his cursed will, terror explodes in horror and heartquake.
Zombie! Allez, allez!
Never eyes so evil, never powers so potent, never magic so black. Bela Dracula Lugosi as the master of the white zombie.
And we are back. So that was the trailer for White Zombie, which, again, just watching that trailer, I mean, it's so many great shots. I mean, it's just a beautiful movie. Like, I mean, when you watch it in HD, like if you haven't seen if you've only seen like the old public domain print, if you haven't seen like a restored print of White Zombie, I mean, it's incredible. And yeah, love the hammy trailer narrator too. That just makes it never eyes so evil. It sounds like Criswell almost to me. Like I know it's not, but it almost sounds like Criswell. Just the
kind of smacks of.
Yeah, I keep like hearing his Plan 9 introduction. For some reason, some of the pronunciations sound the same to me. It's just that old timey way of talking. And it's not that I don't think those accents are transatlantic, but I'm sure there's probably some commonalities of dialect mixing in there. But anyway, check out. Oh, go ahead.
I think there may have been an extra space or two in his script between the two words of the title.
I think you're 100%
Did you hear the way
right
he
about
was
that.
saying that?
I think it was on a whole other page.
Zombie.
Yeah, I think that was him. Yeah, white. Hold on. White zombie. That's what they were able to cut out those page crinkles, but we all know why the pause was there. Oh, but yeah, well, we have fun. But yeah, so Lugosi in his heyday, and there he's rocking the sick stash and the wicked widow's peak, which I don't know if that's his widow's peak or a wig. It's probably a wig. The makeup there was done by Jack Pierce, the guy who made like all the Universal, like most of the Universal monster makeups, and applied them. Which I think that's why Lugosi looks as crazy as he does, because I think when they made Dracula, because Jack Pierce was like, the makeup guy in the movie, but Lugosi, he's wearing a hairpiece in Dracula. I don't know if you knew that. Little known fact about Lugosi and Dracula, that's not his real hair. He's wearing a hairpiece because he was like almost 50. So, he was wearing this hairpiece, and then, so I don't know if in White Zombie he was wearing a hairpiece, but Jack Pierce went way more extreme with Lugosi's look in White Zombie than what I assume I guess they wouldn't allow him to go.
A bit pointed.
Yeah, oh my God. Like, which if you,
features.
and it's crazy because if you haven't seen pictures of Lugosi when he played Dracula on the stage, like especially the Broadway performances, like Lugosi applied his own makeup. Lugosi did his own makeup. So if you look at those pictures, it actually looks wild. Like he has like kind of crazy looking makeup, but for some reason in the Dracula movie, they scaled back a little bit and they just kind of used light and shadow a little bit more, kind of like shining light on his eyes as opposed to like putting a bunch of makeup. But in the stage play, I'm pretty sure in the pictures, he has like dark makeup around his eyes, which looks scary as hell. But really goth. I mean, again, you want to talk about a goth, Dracula. Lugosi did the goth Dracula look, but that's just not what translated onto screen when he played the role. His only time really playing it, if you don't count Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. But Lugosi, makeup, no makeup, Lugosi just brings the charisma. He could just be himself, and he's terrifying. So. He's lending his presence here nicely so far in tonight's chapter of The Whispering Shadow. So we'll see just if he makes another appearance or not. Who knows? Maybe we've seen as much of him as we will see tonight, but I hope not.
Yeah, he needs to put on this makeup for Dr. Strang. I'm looking up his eye routine.
Yeah, what do you
looks
think?
Sinister.
Yeah, it's effective.
It is. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, but the movie, he looks a little like pasty by comparison.
Yeah. And see, I don't know, was that a creative decision from, the director or someone else in the crew, or was that what Jack Pierce wanted to do? Which, I mean, this is going to sound crazy when you think of the way that like the Frankenstein monster looks and some of these other monsters look, but Jack Pierce was very practical in his creation of the monsters. And so it would make sense that in Jack Pierce's mind that if Dracula is an undead being, that he should be completely pasty white like a corpse. That seems like practical thinking on that.
There's logic there,
which, I mean, again, Jack Pierce had practical thinking behind why he made the monster's head the shape that the monster's head is. Even though James Whale also kind of like Pierce had a whole reason why, it had to be flat so that the doctor could, I don't know, it's a whole thing. You can read all into it. But Lugosi, if he did do his own makeup for the stage production of Dracula, I mean, it's effective. So look up those pictures. We're sorely missing that makeup tonight, but again, he brings it regardless. Lugosi. Anything before we get into the exciting conclusion of The All-Seeing Eye, Evan?
I think I'm gonna start wearing that makeup. I want to look sinister like
that. Okay. Trying out a new look. I mean, I'm not looking at the pictures in front of me right now. It's been a while since I don't even think I've actively looked up all those pictures at once. I've just kind of seen them in passing. Would you say that's a goth look? Does he have makeup around his eyes? Like, what's he doing? I can't. I'm not gonna look him up right now.
Like the dark eyes, the very pointed eyebrows. He looks like, so it in the like book Dracula he's so ugly everybody hates him. And I think that's maybe kind of
a little more what he's going for.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, but I mean, he was also leaning into the, like, for lack of a better word, sex appeal of it, right? Like trying to make it look attractive. Like that was like, cause like, look, the stage version of Dracula that Lugosi did had already been performed in England. Like it was written by an English playwright and performed in England. And that established like some of the makeup, I think. But I think in those stage productions, Dracula was, you know, not kind of played as this like hunky type of, you know, like sexy vampire. And then when they brought it to Broadway in 27, Lugosi comes along. It's like, all right, I know what needs to be. I am Dracula, which apparently was what he said before every performance. He'd put himself in this trance state, look at himself in a mirror and say, I am Dracula. I am Dracula. With the cape. Yeah. They're like,
oh my God.
Now you hear those archetypal stories, and so many people say that story that it must be true, but that's like the story that gets said is that when he would play Dracula, he would put himself in this trance state saying, I am Dracula, I am Dracula. And that was how he literally became Dracula.
Yeah, that's what you do before the show starts, right?
Right. I am Spakenstein. I am Spakenstein. I always have to take my cape off right before I get in front of the camera, but just know that my cape is right here and the mirror's right there. And I have to work myself up, but we eventually get to showtime, and here we are. But it takes a lot of prep. So I thank you for recognizing that, Evan. I appreciate you pointing that out, because there's a lot that goes into that people don't always see behind the scenes. So
well, I see you over there.
I appreciate that. Well, on that note, if you have it queued up, Evan.
I do. I want to see who or what this all-seeing eye is
What
about.
the hell is this eye? If I don't see a giant disembodied floating eye, I'm going to be severely disappointed. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. All right. On that note, we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting conclusion of the all-seeing eye right now.
My men are all posted, Mr. Foster. The place is completely surrounded.
See?
We can't wait any longer for Raymond. You'd better...
And then just stops talking and waits 10 seconds for the scout to walk up.
No, but we're all ready to close in.
Lead the way, Sergeant.
I'm like, oh look, there's Robert Raymond.
We're just talking about you. Running out of the woods. World famous detective.
Want us to break in, huh? Well... Pass it all around, boys.
Wait.
Come on, boys.
I've never seen the lock I'd open with this key.
You think that was probably a real thing that you could have back in the day as a key that could really open any door? If they're just those flimsy old door locks?
I feel like my grandfather would tell me about a skeleton key, but I never knew if that was like a real thing or not.
I just always thought it was particular to the house.
They've been warned.
I didn't know if a skeleton key was like a universal key.
But surely you don't suspect him, the president of the company.
I wonder if anyone could have listened in on the phone.
Perhaps.
It was Sparks.
Look at him. He's not so innocent. He figured that thing out weeks ago. Don't be fooled.
Yes, Mr. Joe. I found somebody who can solve your puzzle for you.
Oh, Mr. Jerome. Who is it?
He's waiting for you at the end of the main aisle on the 3rd floor.
That guy's a whispering shadow. I'm calling it. I don't know who the fuck this...
I think he's the vice president.
What the hell?
They were just in there?
Well,
I guess.
But as I told you, there's the door taking the jewels.
Well, it's worth looking into. Let's go down and talk to Mr. Bradley.
Oh my god.
Well, you will never solve that puzzle.
But, Mr. Bradley, We would have captured the shadows.
Great
then if
comic
someone hadn't
relief.
tipped them off. Did you tell anybody I discovered their hideout?
Why, come to think of it, I did tell Jerome. But surely you don't think that he... Come in.
Excuse me, Mr. Bradley, but this is an urgent message for Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Jarvis.
God, letter openers, man. It's crazy to think how ubiquitous they used to be, and now, like, who has a letter opener? You have a letter? I bet you do have a letter opener, don't you?
I don't. No.
I actually do have a letter opener. It's a family heirloom, basically. Though it's not one I'm using at my own, you know, because I have so many letters to open. I guess that's why you'd have one, right? Because you just have so many letters, so much correspondence.
Yeah, you don't want to wear your finger out.
Too many paper cuts.
Okay, William. Come on there, partner. He isn't here.
Why, I was just
What?
talking to him.
He got twice and jumped out. Come on, search the bush.
Wait, so the driver was working for the... What the hell? How'd he get out?
Just slipped right out.
I guess so. My goodness. Uh-oh.
I got him.
You got.
Oh, big time. Nice.
Take your snapping, William.
She won't start.
Ooh, man, he was busy, dude. My goodness. Dastardly.
Jack Foster, thinking of everything.
Jack Foster is just such a generic name. I'm never going to remember that. Come on, you want me to follow this for 12 weeks? You want children to follow this for 12 weeks? You got to give them a more interesting name for their hero. Come on.
Oh.
Who was that?
No, what the hell was that?
So that's the VP, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and the criminal.
And yeah, Jasper.
You know what I want. Where'd you hide this stuff?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No? That is Jerome's house.
Father, promise me you'll be careful.
There's nothing to worry about, Vera. These smoke pots will make Jerome show me that the jewels are hidden.
He's got smoke bombs. I'm gonna smoke bomb him. That's how I'm getting these jewels. That's the only way I'm getting these jewels. I love that. I let my smoke bombs do the talking for me.
I'm not wasting any more time on you, Jerome.
I love this.
You tell me.
The action in this show is so like limp.
Yeah.
Except when they're doing stunts.
Well, yeah, then that's when, you know, they get the actors out of the way. You get the stunt actors. These are the guys with the real, the zing and the pep. Got him.
So close. Oh my god. He just broke a chair.
I love that. Oh.
I think it's like the second chair that's been broken over someone's head in this show.
Never mind me. Here's comes the jewels.
Uh-oh. Oh shit, is she gonna catch it? Oh, there's Jack. See, I remembered his first name. I think I'll be able to do this. Jack Foster.
Every time the other characters are referring to him, it takes me a second because I think they're just like, making a colloquialism like, hey, Jack.
Hey, Jack. Yeah. See? What?
Like, hey, man, what?
Oh my god. Whoa.
Okay.
The shadow strikes. Wow, that was really abrupt, huh?
Yeah. How are they gonna get out of that one?
I don't know. So was that was Strang's daughter in the car with with Jack?
Jasper.
Oh, with Jasper. Yeah, with Jasper.
Yeah. With
Okay.
Jack in hot pursuit.
And Jack was on their trail. Okay. Yeah, I thought he just really lost control of that car pretty quick, huh? The jewels are toast.
That's also the second car that's flown off a cliff in this show.
When did we have the first? Was it in the first episode?
Yeah, in the first episode. Right there. It might be the third, actually.
Oh, okay. What? It's so wild to me thinking about it now. What do you think was the purpose of the title of tonight's episode? Because I can't see how it relates to anything that we just watched.
Maybe it refers to the Whispering Shadow somehow knows what everything is going on.
Yeah.
He didn't do a lot in this episode, but maybe we can assume he's just watching, just sitting this one out.
Yeah, he literally just like popped in one time to like check on his guys when they're being kind of lazy, like just kind of scare them a little bit. And then, I guess it's like that feeling when like your boss is on vacation, but then, they're like calling in like just to check on you. But they're just, they think that they're trying to scare you a little bit, but
I think the goons might be my favorite character, like just collectively as a group.
Just sitting around this table, like waiting for the boss to just give them a message.
When they introduce these characters, like they're all sitting around this like table, Legion of Doom style.
Yeah.
Like they look very imposing and intimidating, and then like by the I think like the end of the first episode, they're just like a bunch of bumbling goons.
Yeah. I mean, pretty quickly they went from being a mastermind criminal gang to just kind of tripping all over themselves and constantly 2 steps behind. What?
From villains to henchmen, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a steep climb. There's a lot of middle ground between you don't want to be a henchman elevated to the villain role because you're not cut out for it. It just doesn't work like that. So I mean, you gotta appreciate the Whispering Shadow kind of being such a so he's got this power to literally kill people with radio waves, but then he's got the just most incompetent fools like doing what? Like, what is their job? That's my question. Like, what is he having them do? Are they supposed to get the jewels? Because if so, they're loafing hard. Like,
They're they haven't had possession of the ball in
no, I just don't even know
at least a quarter.
What they're supposed to be doing. Like he's giving them orders. I know they're just sitting around this table constantly. I don't know. At some point getting into scraps with Jack. I mean, that's how we came into tonight's episode. I believe that was the gang, right? I mean,
Yeah. I think I during the break I went back and tried to figure out like how they got out of that room, and honestly, rewatching it didn't make any more sense. Like
that's okay.
The goons have their back turned and they're gonna break down the wall, and then Strang flips a switch and they get out.
So Strang saved them, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. I mean, where was he the whole time? Again, you can't pick these stories apart too much, especially these old. They're like, I guess this. No, okay. So yeah, this is the oldest serial that we've watched, but only by 2 or 3 years, because Undersea Kingdom was 1936, and Undersea Kingdom's story was a little creaky. Was creaky too, but I think this is a little more, you know, like, I mean, obviously the best of the storytelling that we've gotten in these serials is Flash Gordon, and that wasn't much better. You know, it was just a little more serviceable. But, and I mean, Phantom Creeps was kind of, I don't know, Phantom Creeps wasn't the best. I think I've like again, I shouldn't be like rating serials yet, but I dare say that Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe may be my favorite serial so far.
Okay.
I like Phantom Creeps, you know, but
It's very solid.
Flash
I
Gordon.
appreciate that this one, the fast pacedness kind of keeps me on my toes.
Right. That's true. It's definitely the fastest paced of all the serials of the 3 that we watched before this. So
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of rigmarole in this one, but maybe it's just because I'm trying a little harder to pay attention. But it's keeping.
Well, I appreciate that. Did anything change with your suspect list this episode? Did you get kind of any more of a
didn't see today?
the Steinbeck, that's his name. I'm always like, it's a literary name. What is it? Steinbeck. That's right. That's right. Yeah. I was wondering. I just assumed he would pop in. I kept waiting for him and never showed up. Just kind of strange.
Yeah, with the older you get with like whodunits, I always kind of wonder, like, if I see a modern whodunit, my thought process is, well, the writer is trying to fool the audience, so it's probably whoever you least expect. But I feel like as you go back in time, that's maybe a little less true. And so sometimes I'll like second guess myself, and it's just somebody, like, it's just the obvious guilty party.
Right. Well, again, the some of the reviews I read for this said that they thought that they had figured it out multiple times, and it turned out to not be who they expected. So,
yeah, it could really be anybody. So I don't know who it is.
I'm hoping we're in for some kind of a surprise. I really do. But yeah, I mean, they're not really. I mean, again, we're only 3 chapters in, so like you're hoping that they're not going to give it away. But again, like you're making a good point that this being as old as it is for a mystery, you kind of don't expect them to really do a great job with the misdirection. You know, like they're trying to keep it at a certain level. But I think that may be the difference with like maybe like a later serial like Flash Gordon and a serial like this, because I think you could confidently say that a serial like Flash Gordon Conquers the Universe was made with the fact they had it in mind that the audience was probably going to mostly be children. You know, seeing matinee movies and seeing Flash Gordon accompanying some other features. But I think that these like earlier serials, which again at this time Mascot and Universal were the only studios making serials at this time, and Mascot again I think whereas Flash Gordon is dumbing down the story and making it simpler or not exploring things as much because of their child audience, I think that Mascot with their serials, they kind of, They simplify it a little bit. They don't make things as clear cut in terms of the story, but they're still trying to give you something that's adult, right? Like they still have to cut corners because that's what you have to do in a serial. You have to make it cheap and fast, but they're not catering to children with this. It feels like they're trying to give you a very
less than Flash Gordon at least.
Yeah, Flash Gordon definitely catering to children. This is trying to give you like a serious mystery, even though like any serial, it's got to kind of dumb things down and cut some corners where, I mean, obviously story wise, it's not the best, but it is nice to get something a little bit more sophisticated, like a mystery, as opposed to every other serial where we know who the bad guy is. I mean, every serial before this, our villain is very clear. So that is the big difference here that is actually quite interesting, and week to week does make it fun in a way that we haven't experienced with these serials, because we don't know. We have no clue. Have not spoiled it for myself, and I'm determined not to do so yet. Like, I keep having to go back to the Wikipedia page, and I'm like, all right, do not look at the plot section.
Really
Whatever you do,
yeah.
you can't see it.
Careful what you're reading.
Because I do not spoil it for me. I don't want any. Now that I've said it out loud, somebody's gonna probably find a way. Please don't. Please let us get through the next 9 chapters of this without any spoilers. We just want to be satisfied by the end of this. It's got to be worth it. If you spoil it for us, what are we doing this for? Now we'll see. We still have 9 more chapters. So again, on some clip shows, but plenty of time for more dastardly deeds and suspicious activity before we really get a clear handle on just who our suspect could be. But having fun with it so far. So tonight's episode was good. Enjoyable. But yeah. So that was this week's installment of The Whispering Shadow. And so a little announcement. We were maybe or maybe not doing our episode this Friday. I've had a little work thing come up, so I'm still like needing to get some details and not quite sure what Friday's going to look like. So, stay on top of our socials tomorrow, because tomorrow I'll let you guys get a better idea definitively. Are we going to have an episode Friday night or not? If we do, then this Friday, we're going to be watching the 1962 Gothic horror regional production entitled The Dungeons of Horror, or The Dungeon of Horror, or The Dungeon of Horror, or The Dungeons of Horror. Apparently there's a bunch of titles behind this. But it is a Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe film from the 60s. I mean, again, Roger Corman did 8. Edgar Allan Poe, they weren't really based on his stories. They just used titles. But they were Gothic horror films, and they were very influential at the time and kind of created a trend. And so what we have is I think it was made in Texas. It's kind of interesting to think about a Gothic horror film being produced in Texas, but that's what we may have this Friday at 9 p.m.
American Gothic, maybe.
American, yes, without a doubt, American Gothic. So that'll be fun, and of course, as always, Evan brings us a delicious cocktail to pair with the evening's film in a little segment which we call.
Were you drinking?
What are we going to be drinking when we watch The Dungeon of Horror, Evan?
Well, whenever this Friday or whenever we are down in the dungeon, we're gonna be drinking some dungeon punch. So this is a not an original. This is an existing recipe, but I saw it and I thought it looked pretty good. So I just went with it. This is a vodka based punch. I do love me some punch. It's vodka, orange juice, um, fruit punch, Kool-Aid, or I guess you could just get regular fruit punch.
Right.
Peach schnapps and cherries, so just a good blend of fruity flavors. Served in a bowl if you like, maybe a little cup.
Ooh, okay. That sounds delicious.
Pretend you're at the dungeon prom.
Ooh, dungeon prom. Nice. It sounds dank.
Who spiked the punch at dungeon prom?
God, I don't want to know who spiked it. And I don't want to know what they spiked it with. I couldn't imagine what you're spiking the dungeon prom with. But that sounds very good. So that'll be a good pairing with the Dungeon of Horror. And so either this Friday at 9 p.m. or at a later date, either the next Friday or I don't know. If Evan and I can figure out our schedules and maybe some off date is better, we might just totally surprise you. I don't know. But we'll be bringing you that one Friday, hopefully at 9 p.m. Hopefully
at some point in
the future. And kind of same goes for our next chapter of The Whispering Shadow. Well, again, not really sure about my work schedule over it's basically the next 2 weeks. I got kind of a funky work schedule, so eventually we will be back to normal. This isn't like a thing where, oh my god, because we've been doing this show for over a year and a half now, and we are very consistent. We take some weeks off here or there, so this may end up being about 2 weeks off, but I hope to find some time to still squeeze some shows in, whether it's just the mini-sodes or we can get, our kind of full features in. We'll try to work that out, but 2 weeks, we'll be back to the normal schedule. But of course, we'll be in the thick of the holidays at that point. So our schedule also gets funky anyway. So
we're going to play December by ear.
Playing it by ear, but we're not going anywhere. We're just so if you don't hear anything from us, or I'll be posting on the socials, but if you're come on Friday and we're not here, and then you come on the next Friday and we're not here, don't panic. We haven't gone anywhere. The show's on. I'm going to just go ahead before the rumors even start, because I know our rabid fan base is just, the rumor mill, once it gets churning, it's just hard to keep these things under
before
control.
Everyone starts rioting.
Yeah, we want to go ahead and nip that in the bud right now. So we're not going anywhere, but I'm going to be working for the next couple weeks, and so that's going to in a way that's gonna maybe funk with our schedule a little bit. So I will keep you in the loop on our schedule as it develops. But of course, if you're really missing us and you're a diehard fan, you're really devoted, you can catch all of our past episodes over on our YouTube page at Screamstream Live. Again, we've done over 70 movies and 3 other serials and 3 other TV shows. 4 other TV shows. So, plenty of content for you to check out in our maybe or maybe not absence. Of course, you want to keep track of what's going on with our schedule. You can go follow us over on the socials. We are over on X and Instagram and TikTok at Screamstream Show. Also over on Twitch at Screamstream Show. So go find all that stuff, like, subscribe, check it out. Of course, you can follow me over on X at Spakenstein, and Mr. Evan Sink is on X and Instagram at Caligari Cursed. Anything before we sign off tonight, Evan?
So I know I claimed to be the expert on wax museums,
You did.
but I'm starting to think that I might not know as much as I thought. So if a wax museum has a trap room and smoke bombs, do you think it's possible he's just covering for being a ninja?
That or a terrorist, I think. One or the other.
He's up to something.
On that note, until next time, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all, a good fright.